from the News Channel 5 Network. This is SCORE on Business.
Hey, welcome to SCORE on Business. I'm Pete Hendricks, your host for today, a serial entrepreneur, and many prospective entrepreneurs aren't sure where to start. So we'll start providing a tip on each show. Also, SCORE offers low-cost classes and no-charge counseling specifically to guide folks through thinking about starting and succeeding in business. More information is available at scorenashville.org. Make sure to click on the Workshops tab at the top of the page. They are usually a half day, mainly on weekends, and cost $25. Your tip for this show: how are you going to gain customers? Because a business without customers is not a business. So let's get on to our guest. Our first guest today is Lynn Van Popering. Lynn Van Popering is founder of Applause Innovation Group in Nashville, where he consults with business leaders on brand strategy and sales growth through product and service innovation. His clients range from restaurants and food manufacturers to professional service firms. And important to note, he's worked not only with some of America's most recognized consumer brands, but also with many entrepreneurs just getting started with their business. Okay, so Lynn, thanks for being here.
Well, thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. So you've had an opportunity to work with a lot of entrepreneurs over the years. What are some of the common issues that you've encountered?
Well, first of all, what I want to share with you is that there are few people I enjoy spending time with more than entrepreneurs. There's an energy and a passion there that's exciting. But one thing that I do find quite often, there are actually 2 points. One is that many times entrepreneurs focus on the solution that they're putting together with their business, more so than investing time in defining what problem they're trying to solve.
Right.
And then the second is really the lack of a strong sales plan.
Yes.
There's a lot of excitement sometimes, and it seems self-evident that other people will want to buy it for whatever the reason is. So those are two of the points that I think about.
Oh, those are really good. Can you elaborate? Maybe start by addressing the issue of building a solution before defining the problem.
Well, Pete, I've heard you say on this program many times before that so many people can be blinded in some respects by their own perspective.
Right.
And it's so critical for entrepreneurs to be able to look at the world through their consumers' eyes.
Yes.
And that process is one that's really important, not only to understand what challenges you may face that you may be blinded to otherwise, but what kind of opportunities and upside exists that on the surface you may not even know without actually talking to your customers.
I mean, what will somebody actually spend money for?
That's right.
Just because you would spend money for it doesn't mean anyone else.
That's right. And I think that a part of this is really building out something that I call customer empathy. Mm-hmm. And the idea of empathy is, in a simplified way, being able to walk in your customer's shoes or to look at the world through his or her perspective. And that's really critical. Now, I've thought a lot about this in terms of you'll have innovators through time, from Thomas Edison to Steve Jobs, who say, something, true insights, breakthrough doesn't come from consumer research. And I acknowledge that in a technology side. But I also think it's important, more often than not, to really get that deep understanding of your consumer to improve your prospects, short-term and long-term.
So how can folks do that on the cheap?
Well, there's certainly, it's pull yourself out by the bootstraps, and there are definitely ways to go about that. And there are two that I want to talk about a little bit today. The first is really this idea of the target customer interview. And then the second is what I refer to as building out a customer's ecosystem. We'll come to that in a second. So this idea of building empathy can be done in many different ways. In the sporting goods industry, you have companies like Nike and Under Armour who are very successful in some respects because they make a concerted effort to recruit Olympians, past Olympians, and athletes out of college and professional ranks. And what they're able to do then is infuse that first-hand thinking and passion for their industry right within their organization. Now, when you're just starting out and maybe it's just you and maybe a partner, the customer interview is one that becomes very critical. So I don't know about you, but when I talk to interviews, almost 100% of entrepreneurs have talked to a potential customer.
Right.
And so there's not a lot of magic there. But what I would suggest is broadening that reach. I have rarely found someone just starting out who has taken the time, made the investment to talk to enough different customers. And a lot of times, or prospective ones, I should say. And a lot of times it's important to broaden that initial search, not just from the folks that they think of right out of the gate who might buy their product, but what are other organizations that are similar to it? So if you have a product or a service you think would be great for a retail bank, make sure that you're also talking to and interviewing people in adjacent industries like other financial services, maybe a discount stock brokerage. You could end up opening yourself up to a lot more opportunity than you originally thought. You know, the other thing is that I find that entrepreneurs tend to, during these interviews, ask questions around, well, what is your reaction to my product or service? And those are important questions to ask. But what I would advise and challenge entrepreneurs in is also take the time to ask questions that are broader in nature that may not be about your product or service directly. Things like, what are some of the biggest issues that your potential customer may be facing? Or what trends are in the industry and how do they feel about it? And take the time to ask questions like, you know, I've had a chance to think about your industry. Here are my thoughts. What's your reaction? And what I have found very consistently is that what seems to be conventional wisdom or just assumed to be reality or the facts can often be either disproven or really reinforced through that kind of discussion.
Oh, I'm with you 100%. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.